Hey there, hunting family. Welcome back to Tracks and Tackle. Today, we're diving into the world of podcasting and outdoor passion with a special guest, Shane Mueller, the host of the Upper Bay podcast. In today's episode, Shane shares how his journey into hunting inspired him to start his own show and why storytelling matters in the outdoors, along with his love for connecting with fellow hunters and anglers. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast or a podcast junkie, this is a good episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Had a lot of fun, great conversation. Hit play and join us as we explore Shane's inspiring story, his dedication to preserving the traditions of the great outdoors, and just all around good time hanging out. Let's dive in. Hey there, hunting family. Welcome back to Tracks and Tackle, the podcast where we hit everything outdoors. I am the timber cowboy, Ron Menser, hanging out tonight. We got a pretty sweet guest with us. But before we bring our guests on, I want to introduce our co-hosts. We got Chris Bookman from 3B Outdoors. How's it going, Chris?
Good, Ron. How are you, buddy?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream. It's snowing outside as we record, and I'm just hoping I don't have too much to shovel by morning. So
yeah, we'll see how that's all right.
We're gonna play that one by ear, but super excited to have Shane Mueller come on with us with the Upper Bay podcast and Hometown Advantage podcast. Shane, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you again, Chris.
Yeah, you too, man.
You were saying the snow. We're getting it here too, man. Probably not as bad as you guys, but they're saying like maybe 4 inches overnight here.
Really?
Yeah.
It's light. It's not bad here. It's just, it's coming down. It's nice. Like, I love the snow. I just don't want to shovel it. So,
right.
Can you blame me?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like every year I justify, like, do I buy a snow blower? And then we only get like a couple dustings. I'm like, God, man, I'm glad I didn't buy that snow blower.
Past couple of years, I had mine go down, and I'm sure our listening audience really wants to hear this story that, my snowblower died. And so I've just been putting off getting it repaired. And the last couple of years, it hasn't snowed. So I've skated for a few years on that. But now this year I've had to shovel twice and wasn't real happy about it.
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, man, appreciate you coming on the show. I know you got your own podcast, the Upper Bay podcast and Hometown Advantage. You do 2 different podcasts?
Yes, sir. So just a little bit of background about me. Born and raised Cecil County, Maryland. Grew up fishing on the bay, hunting the eastern shore with my dad, deer hunt, duck hunt, goose hunt, turkey hunt. When I was real little, we did some rabbit hunting, stuff like that. So I've grown up in it, been immersed in it, but I really started to get deep into it probably back in like 2013, is when I kind of just went from being like weekend warrior, meat hunting guy to really diving deep into hunting mature bucks and understanding the environment, learning the woods and stuff like that. And that's kind of when my passion took off. A little segue. So when all that happened, I really got into filming. So I was filming a lot of hunts. I worked with a couple outdoor TV shows online, bowhunting.com. I worked for a Team Radical out of Illinois. So I've had a couple opportunities there. And eventually that all kind of just faded out, got back to hunting, just doing my own thing and enjoying it. And back in 2020, so it had been early 2023, I started the Upper Bay podcast with a good friend of mine, Mason Newton. Chris didn't get to meet him last time, but he's a hunting fool as well. He's a big shed hunting guy, so he's been out looking for antlers a lot. And then the Hometown Advantage podcast, I'm just a co-host on that one. That one's my buddies, and we do all local sports. So I grew up playing baseball and soccer. Was fairly decent at baseball, went on to play college ball.
All right.
Didn't go any further than that. I'm not playing for the Orioles, I'll tell you that. But I lived out of state, and when I moved back, my buddy became the local football coach for our high school that we graduated from, and him and I just love talking sports and
Cool.
watching professional sports and stuff. And we were just kind of like, hey man, let's kind of give these kids the highlight they deserve. And that's pretty much the premise of our show, is just highlighting all these local schools and these young talented kids that really deserve that recognition for how good of athletes they really are.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, that one's been a lot of fun. The hunting one's a lot of fun too, but it comes with a lot of I don't want to say drama, but it has its hiccups because you're never going to please everybody online, if you know what I mean.
I know that.
But so either way, both are fun.
What position did you play in baseball?
I was a middle infielder, man, second and shortstop.
Okay. I played first base and I pitched. I got a couple scholarships and played some men's leagues, but
oh, did you?
School wasn't for me, and I got to the point that you were, where they were like, hey, if you want to pursue this, you're going to change positions, and it just wasn't for me anymore. And I could throw really hard. I was throwing in the 80s, but I was like Ricky Vaughn, man. I'm probably taking it off. I don't know. It's either going right down the middle or you're taking a base.
Right.
So, but
I was one of those kids. I had a real big head because I was a little bit better than everybody at the time.
You got a little talent.
Yeah. And for my local area. And then once I got to college, I was like, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Humbling.
Yeah. I played basketball, and it was the same way. I went to a small private school where, I was 6'2" my senior year. And there was taller guys, but I was a bigger dude, pretty physical.
Right.
And then we start doing these tournaments. We played like a lot of our local private school teams where I'm the regular size guy or bigger than these dudes. And then we're going to play tournaments, and we're going to like Harrisburg and Philadelphia. And I'm like, hey,
looking up to these guys.
These guys are just dominating us, And, that's cool, man. The kids need that type of stuff, and I really resonate with that. That's what we do with the hunting stuff too, is really trying to bring it back about kids and focus on that. So that's really rad.
Yeah.
You want to make it fun, right? I mean, you want to make it fun for. Look, we were all that age once, and we know what it was like. And like you said, if you have any success, my dad coached us, when we were in little league and pony league and playing ball and stuff, and he'd get so frustrated because we had a good team. We had 5 or 6 guys in the lineup that were better than average ball players, and we had good pitching for the league that we were in.
Right.
And we didn't take it serious. And, we'd show up, we'd screw off for, 4 or 5 innings, and then we'd say, all right, let's go. And we'd knock off a rally, a couple runs, and we would win most of our games. And it's hard to coach a team like that, but I get it. There's nothing like that when you're young.
Right.
And you love the sports you're playing in, to have somebody sort of highlight you and locally celebrate what you're doing. We try to do that here, from the hunting for the outdoor perspective. There's nothing like that, a traditional passing that lineage down, right? We all have a down line,
right?
So we talk about mentorship a lot. We talk about the need, every single one of us, I'm sure, Shane, you've had somebody that walked you through, it taught you how to hunt, taught you how to fish, taught you the ins and the outs. And so that's so important. And we want to pass that on. We don't want to see those traditions die. So that's what we're doing here. And I also understand what you said. You made the mention about, doing an outdoor podcast. You're never going to please everybody online. Like, I love the Facebook wardens that come out and, want to tell you how you're doing something or how it should be done or have an opinion. Look, we all got opinions, and I would agree to disagree sometimes even on those opinions, but it's a tough niche to be in, but we love connecting with guys like yourself. You're out there doing it, and we're just having fun making memories and sharing those memories and spitting stories back and forth, because that's really what it's about for us.
Right. Absolutely.
How do you create the memory and then hold on to it, outside of just a picture.
Right. Yeah. When I had Chris on, and you said it perfectly, is like, we all needed a mentor. And it was kind of eye-opening, because when you grow up with a dad or a grandfather or a mom that hunts, and they teach you through your life, you don't really think about the people that, kids or even later in life adults that want to get into it but have no idea how, or because I see the posts all the time, like adults, hey, I try getting into hunting this year, just bought my first bow, don't really know what I'm doing. Is anybody out there that can take me? And it's like, I always have to step back because I'm like, oh man, not everybody has a dad that, taught them when they were 5 years old how to hold a BB gun or, how to shoot a bow. And so it's really awesome what you guys are, doing, trying to help the youth into this amazing outdoor activity that we love so much.
Yeah, it's funny that you say all that to connect with you even on two fronts. When I was a kid, we shot, my dad, growing up was like a traditional recurve, like tournament bow shooter. So we in third grade on, we're shooting recurves in the front yard and we were playing baseball. That's what we did. We rode bikes, we played baseball with my dad, and then we shot our bows. Like, people didn't do that.
It's a good childhood.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know that people didn't go grab the stick and string,
right?
And shoot a bunch of arrows. And we were like, at the time, again, I'm not saying it's to brag. I didn't know people didn't do it. Like my dad could throw a cereal box up in the air and we could take it out of the air in like third, fourth grade. Like I didn't know people didn't do that,
Right.
That's normal.
And baseball, I still to this day, my dad could take, we had a yard kind of on a slight hill. He would take his baseball glove in one hand and a wooden bat. He would not use an aluminum bat. And he'd hit pop-ups to us and just right to you every time. And I'm like, how, to this day, I'm like, how did you do that? Like,
right.
But it really resonates. I'll tell you guys a funny story about people online real quick. I had a guy reach out to me, like what you were saying, Shane and Ron. He said, hey, I'm trying to get into fishing. I live in this really cool area. I think he was from Tennessee. I'm in this really cool area. I got some lakes around me. What's some good tackle, some rods and reels to get? And I said, listen, man, you can do what you want, just like anything. You can spend as much money, or if I were you, dude, go to Walmart and get some Zebco lures, buy these tackle. You could probably spend $40.
Right.
And this dude chewed me out. Oh, I don't know why you're wasting my junk. I don't need this Walmart junk.
Right.
All right, dude, go do your thing.
Right.
Money, you're not like offshore white marlin fishing in the white marlin open, buddy. You're trying to catch crappie on some lake in Tennessee, right?
Right.
So you guys, you're not going to make everybody. They just.
If you're listening to the podcast right now, I want you guys to drop a comment, just tear into Chris, give him some advice or expert advice on.
Listen, I'm a Zebco guy.
Fish.
You're not going to change my mind from Zebco. Okay.
The old dock runner, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Dock Demon,
Dock Demon.
Yeah, I have 3 of those. So,
there's certain hills we'll die on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what a Dock Demon is, Ron?
Yeah. This is where I'll plant my flag.
I bought them for my kids, and I like them, man. You know?
It's just like, it's just like anything else. Like you find something that is works for you, like you swear by it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
you can, just like anything, you can spend the money, and there is nice ones. And I do have a nice like Shimano rod, and I have some really nice Abu Garcia stuff, but for just local pond fishing and the amount of money sometimes to replace and restring a reel, just go to Walmart and get a $20 setup,
Right.
Kids are going to mess with it. For me, that's just worth it, so, but,
and it's important to like, cause today's age, man, and no shade to anybody because I totally get it, but it is so easy to just sit your kids inside in front of a TV or a tablet or whatever, or a video game system or whatever, and just kind of just nuance, get through the day.
Right.
But these kids, man, they need to be outside. Like my little dude, again, there are times where, we sit down, we watch some TV, we watch a couple of his shows or whatever. Right. But my little dude, my oldest, he loves to be outside like every day. He's like, can we go on an adventure? Can we go on an adventure? So we have like a 2-acre block of woods next to us. We literally have walked that woods probably 100 times already. And it's like every day, it's like, this is the greatest day ever for him. Because every time we get down, he's like, that's so much fun. This is a busy day, Dad. I'm like,
2 acres is a lot of land for a young guy. One of the things you were talking about was, when you got into, hunting mature bucks and, we all like a trophy, Chris has got a nice, couple of nice antler mounts on the wall behind him and stuff. But especially with you got boys, the smile on their face when they're when they're outdoors, because it is easy to like put them in front of a tablet or on a TV or something. But it works that way for girls too. But like guys, man, you get young boys outside, getting dirt under their fingernails and stuff. The smile on their face is the trophy,
right?
You know what I mean? Because you can see it,
right?
And that's energizing.
Yeah,
I remember being a little kid, probably same age as your oldest, Shane, and my dad took us for a hike, and we packed lunch. And man, I thought that we walked for miles, dude, and we probably walked 300 yards and sat on this log in the woods, But that's hard, man. That's a big thing even for me, man. Like it runs a page and stuff, and you guys know too. Like I don't always have the most physically demanding job, but when I get home, sometimes I'm tired.
Yeah,
right.
And it's really easy to sit back in your chair and just to zone out. Here's a tablet, phone, and it's almost like working out. You got to make yourself do it, and you feel so much better when you do it. But you have to make yourself, get out there, man.
I do. I mean, I tell my wife all the time, like those days where we come home and we're just exhausted. And it's like, all right, after dinner, like you can just watch TV till bedtime, and then the next day, I'm like, I feel terrible for letting him do that. Like today, when we get home, we're going outside, So
yeah, it's another thing that we really drilled down on, Shane, is having a hunting partner. Having a hunting buddy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Life's better with a partner. Life's better with a buddy. And a lot of times, that is your son or that is your father. Up until a certain point of life.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to doing this sort of stuff, like we're taking the time out of our night to get on here and record a podcast and connect with one another and get to know other guys that do, dig the stuff that we dig. When you have somebody that you can link shields with and sort of, storm the hill together, so to speak, it makes it a lot easier. Cause if you don't have somebody driving you or push, we push one another to do this sort of stuff too. So it's always important to have a hunting partner to go out, whether it's shed hunting or whether it's, fishing or whatever it is that you're into. Without a partner, I'd probably be a lot more lazy than I am.
Segue into that, Shane, like these guys, most of Ron's audience and our audience, they're from like the mountains of Pennsylvania. So talk about like where you grew up, man. It's such an awesome tradition place, history place.
Yeah, I mean,
Susquehanna meets the Bay.
Yep, it's definitely not the mountains. I'll tell you that. It's far different from what you guys are used to. But I mean, I grew up 15 minutes from the Chesapeake Bay, which is a huge, huge river for anybody that doesn't know. And right where I am is I'm right on the Susquehanna Flat, so it's right where the Susquehanna River meets the bay, and the Northeast River meets the bay, and the Elk River meets the bay. So fishing wise, just growing up here, like our area, the Susquehanna Flats were known for big stripers, big rockfish. So growing up, that's what we did a lot. We, in the springtime, we were fishing for big trophy rockfish, the big cows. And then summertime, you're fishing for little schoolies. And then in the wintertime and early spring, you're fishing for like yellow perch, white perch, stuff like that. So growing up, man, I remember, we were on my dad's little John boat every weekend fishing. And so that's a huge part of this area is that. And unfortunately, laws are changing and regulations are changing. So you're not able to do as much of that anymore. But as far as the hunt side goes, this area is also, for the longest time, was known as like the waterfowl capital. We were known for good goose hunting, good diver hunting, canvasback, redheads, stuff like that. And that was a long time ago, before my time. Because back when I was able to start goose hunting when I was like 9, goose season had been closed here for a couple of years, and it had just reopened. So it was more so like probably your guys' era and my dad's era was when it was its heyday. But still, we have many what they're called Upper Bay museums. So we have one in Havre de Grace and one here in Northeast. And they are to highlight all the decoy carvers in this area and the traditional sink box hunting that they used to do on the flats, and just kind of honor all those watermen and waterfowl hunters that, cut their teeth out here and kind of made this area of Maryland, what it's popular for. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, we're on the East Coast, so like we're in the old country. Like this is the old part of the country.
Right.
You know, so like we're older than anything before anybody. If you go like way back, pioneer days, like this was settled on the East before anything out in the Midwest and anything, those other flyways and everything. So like there's a lot of tradition starts here.
Right. Yeah, and what's crazy too is like, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know it, but Chris, you and I talked about this was actually a huge area for Native Americans, that long ago. And Chris and I had talked the last time about, arrowhead hunting. So my buddy Mason, he's huge into that. And I didn't have a clue. I mean, I knew Native Americans were here in this area, but I didn't know I could just go out and look for arrowheads, and so I got into that just this past year and been having a lot of fun searching the beaches and fields and stuff, finding some old artifacts, which is really cool. It was the last time that little arrowhead was touched was when an Indian was hunting a bird or a deer or something. It's pretty wild.
It's wild. That whole area is so cool because even like from where I live, grew up in Maryland and Pennsylvania, now there's rolling hills.
Right.
When you get out there, when that bay and the river opens up, it doesn't feel like you're around here at all. I mean,
right.
you feel like you're somewhere else, down south, or it's just awesome. Yeah. It's just an awesome feeling, man. And to watch the animals that are down there and again, see the history. And you said your grandfather was a decoy carver.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. My grandfather, unfortunately just passed away a few months ago, but he actually, both my grandfathers who are now deceased, were huge decoy carvers. My dad's father is what they would call a decorative carver. So he made decoys that would just be on display or for competitions. Whereas my dad's grandfather, he was what they would call a working decoy. So those were wooden decoys that you would actually have hunted over, like out on the flats and stuff like that in the rivers. So I got to grow up immersed in all that and to learn that history. And unfortunately, I probably didn't. I probably didn't take it for granted like I should have at the time, But and now since they're passed, I've really I really miss hearing those stories and learning about all those different things with them because they were not outside of my dad. They were huge influences for me into hunting and fishing.
Sure.
Do you have any of the decoys at all?
Yeah, I have some from both grandfathers. Yep.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I actually I was on Facebook probably about a year ago and I saw a decoy and I was like, man, that looks like my grandfather my dad's dad who had been passed away for several years at this point. And I messaged the guy and it turns out it was, and I was like, whatever you want, like I'll pay it. I'm coming to get it. So I ended up buying it off the guy and I got it on display here. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. You recognized it and stuff. And you talk about, I was just thinking about, we were talking earlier about being younger and growing up and having mentors and things like that. But when I was younger, I wasn't paying attention. Right. Hindsight's 2020. You look back now, like, man, I really wish I would have listened and learned how to do this X, Y, or Z, whatever the trade is.
Right.
Funny story, like with my dad, who he doesn't listen, but everybody in my family that does listen will know this to be true. My dad, he'll sit here and he'll watch me do something and he'll say, hey, let me show you a trick, and I will step back. I'm like, come on, man, teach me now. Cause I'm at the age now where I want to learn.
Right.
But he isn't going to teach. He just takes over and just does it. And, so his way of teaching is watching me do it.
Right.
But it's cool that you were able to recognize your grandfather's, his artwork, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they both of them were true artists. And, I carved some decoys, just being around the workshops when I was kids. Like I messed around with it and made a couple, but I wish I had done it more regularly, because if you gave me a piece of wood now, like I wouldn't remember how to do it, and unfortunately that's a lost trade now because they're both gone. So that's one thing I do wish I did more of, was spend more time over there just learning how to do it more consistently. But
I had a decoy and it wasn't like a nice one. I had bought one from a yard sale and the beak had broken and I said, I could carve a little beak.
Right.
Trying to mess with saying, I ended up throwing the whole thing.
It's tough, man. They're masters, their craft. That is for sure.
And the artwork and the painting is all really cool. So talk about transition into deer hunting, man? Because that's your big thing now, right?
Yeah.
Deer.
Yeah, it's, I mean, obviously everybody knows the Eastern Shore of Maryland's known for big deer. It has been for a long time. Like I said, when I started hunting with my dad, it was just he was taking me out. I probably started when I was probably around 4 or 5, and he was just taking me out to a buddy's farm that he knew, and it wasn't great. I can remember countless sits where we didn't even see a deer, but I do remember that first deer I ever saw that he shot. And that's the one that stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where my addiction to it started. And we lease all of our farms. We don't have any family owned property, so we do a lot of leasing. So we've hopped around from many property to property a lot over the years. And like I said, we were just weekend warrior meat hunter guys. Just go out, shoot our does. If a small buck came by, I would shoot a small buck. But then in 2013, I was in college and YouTube was getting really popular then. And I started watching a bunch of deer hunting videos on YouTube. And I was like, dude, these people are killing huge deer. Like, how do I do this? Like, I know that my area is known for huge deer, but I've never even seen one this big.
Right.
And so I just started doing my research, doing a lot of reading, watching a lot of videos. And ever since then, like every property that we lease out now, I mean, I spend time, I walk, I learn the woods, I've learned the sign, I know what to look for, and I figure out specific deer that I want to hunt and target, and I try to do all that as best as I can. But it's incredible I'm very fortunate to live in the area that I am, because I am in probably one of the greatest animal habitat areas around, as far as, ducks and geese and fish and deer and turkeys. Like the turkey population here has come back significantly.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of fun hunting turkeys over the last several years. And it's just so great to be around all these things and to get more knowledge. I try to teach people as much as I can about what I've learned. And I try to help like my nephews and my buddies and stuff. And I'm just really blessed to be where I am and to do what I can do around here.
Yeah. It's funny you say that about the turkeys too, because I was trying to tell Ron and some other guys, like even where I grew up in Maryland, which is, far west from you, but there wasn't turkeys growing up.
Yeah.
So I still, to this day, I say it all the time. When I see a turkey, I get so pumped.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember when I was probably 11, was my first time the DNR here released a bunch of turkeys in our local area. And that was like the first time that I had kind of been around it and kind of understood what was going on. And I mean, ever since that, everywhere you go now, you see them, and it's awesome. It's great to see them thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you got to be a student of whatever the target game is that you're after. Right. So you listed off, waterfowl, obviously whitetails. We were talking fishing, we're talking, turkey a little bit. Each one of these animals is a different style of hunting, the different, just approach to it.
Right.
And if you're hunting big game, and you're trying to hunt big mature bucks, understanding the lay of the land like truly does matter.
Right.
If you're hunting, whether it's a leased property or an owned property or a public land, you need to understand that land. But once you've hunted that land for a period of time, you can pattern tendencies, and get a leg up. Hey there, hunting family. It's time to give a shout out to a company that's been keeping our communities moving since 1995. I'm talking about Interstate Garage Doors. For nearly 3 decades, Interstate Garage Doors has been the go-to choice for comprehensive garage door services in South Central PA, as well as the surrounding Hagerstown, Maryland, and Martinsburg, West Virginia areas. And get this, they're not just any company. They're veteran-owned and family-operated, with a proud history of serving both residential and commercial clients. Their professional technicians are the real deal, offering top-notch installations from industry-leading manufacturers and expert repairs for all garage door makes and models. From residential garage doors to overhead doors and openers, Interstate Garage Doors does it all. So whether you're a hardworking contractor building homes or a homeowner looking for service or just needing an upgrade, you can trust Interstate Garage Doors to get the job done right. And hey, they're not just experts in garage doors, they're also experts in giving back to the community, sponsoring podcasts like Tracks and Tackle. Are you ready to experience the Interstate difference for yourself? If so, here's a little something extra for our loyal podcast listeners. Use promo code Tracks and Tackle when you contact Interstate so they know you heard about them here. Just visit igdoors.com today to get an estimate or request service, or give them a call at 717-263-3150. Don't wait. Take the first step towards a smoother, more secure garage today.
Absolutely.
You know, and one of the things I was thinking about, because, you know, everybody wants to shoot a mature buck. You know, not everybody's willing to put the work in or be willing to wait. You know, one of the things you said, Shane, was, you know, you shifted from, you know, just a weekend warrior meat hunter type guy to really going after big mature deer. And I think it's just like we were talking about with the different types of baits that we use and stuff like that. If you find something that works, you stick with it.
Right.
And, you know, when I was younger, like, I didn't shoot big bucks, you know, and so there became a time in my life where I started shooting nicer deer, and, you know, so I started holding out for nicer deer.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm still a meat hunter at heart. Like, for me, you know, and I'm just speaking out for myself, is it's a lot easier for me to hold out for that nice buck once I have a doe in the freezer, you know?
Right.
But yeah, understanding the land and things like that, patterning the land, you can get a leg up on it. And once you've had some success, then you stick with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're still meat hunters. I got to put at least 4 deer in my freezer every year to get us through to the next season. Cause pretty much the only red meat we eat is venison. But when I say all this, I don't go out and kill a 4-year-old deer every season. You know, I'm still going a lot of seasons where I don't shoot bucks, but that's only because I've set my standard. I've shot a lot of small bucks. You know, I've shot a lot of 3-year-olds, and every year I find a deer and I hunt that specific deer. And if another one comes through and it's not as nice or whatever, like, I let them go, because I'm playing, you know, mouse and cat with one specific deer. And that's once I'm the kind of guy, like, I get hyper focused. Like, once I pick one, that is it. And I'm dedicating my entire season to that deer.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Cause I mean, I know, like, that's another style of, or a different approach of hunting, you know, when you are shooting or going after mature bucks and stuff. And the guys, they'll get on me. They'll say, you know, I have a target animal. You know, we do the scouting, and there's a buck I really was after this year, and I didn't shoot a buck this year. Right. But, you know, if a decent one walked in, you know, the guys will give me a hard time. Instinct kicks in, you know, will I let an arrow fly or not? Do you archery hunt?
Oh yeah. Yep. I mostly archery hunt.
Right on.
And then we have several gun seasons here in Maryland, and I typically participate in opening weekend of rifle just because it's like a tradition thing for us. It's something we've always done. But outside of that, I pretty much stick with my bow.
Love it.
Yeah. And Chris, you're talking about traditional. I also grew up learning how to shoot longbows and recurves, and I've gotten away from that since compounds. But when my grandfather passed away, I actually found one of his old recurves in his closet. So I've taken that one and I'm going to restring it. And this summer, my goal is to be able to get back to shooting that one consistently enough to try and kill a deer with it.
Heck yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What you said about the first day of rifle season? Any traditions or bugaboos you guys do for that? Anything that's fun or funny?
Not really. Only because it's a little different than like PA opening weekend, because like I feel like you PA guys, like, you go up to your cabin and it's like a whole family thing and stuff like that. Like, for us, like,
the Orange Army.
Yeah, like we don't have a cabin, so you know, we're all just like all week just texting each other, calling each other, getting excited for the weekend, trying to figure out where everybody wants to sit, and then, you know, we go, we hunt all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and, you know, we just have a couple, you know, like Saturday morning buck only, Saturday afternoon open to whatever you want to shoot, and then Sunday we just shoot whatever. But we don't have any we don't have any real. I wish I could tell you we had some cool traditions, but we don't.
Well, just doing it though, this tradition, man, because a lot of people aren't doing that anymore, man. And
yeah,
the way life is now, and people have to work, and it's hard to get everybody together. So just getting everybody together is cool, man.
Yeah. I tell my wife all the time.
I mean, it's swapping stories too, right? I mean,
Right.
the how do you amp one another up the week leading up to is one thing, but then it's after you have success, you come back and that's like the big part. It's just as important. The storytelling is just as important as the actual going out, and 9 times out of 10, I'm freezing my butt off sitting around not seeing anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that first opening morning when we all get down, we go to lunch. Like that is the best lunch the entire year. Just everybody talking about what you saw and stuff. And you've been out there cold all morning. You got this big old sloppy plate of sausage gravy and chip beef gravy. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. Hey, growing up in Maryland, I don't know if I've asked you about this or not, Ron, but Shane, talk about how cool check stations used to be when we were.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that you knew about check stations.
Yeah,
man, that is actually one thing that I pray Maryland DNR brings back.
Yeah,
because opening weekend check station rides were the best thing on earth. So basically, Maryland used to require they had certain stations set up. For us, it was at a local like sporting goods store, like a little small mom and pop place. And you had to go there. They would weigh your deer. If it was a buck, they'd measure your buck and everything. And that's how DNR had proof that, you actually checked your kill in and harvested and all that.
Right.
But for us, it was just going to see what was in the back of people's beds. We were like, I was like a little kid, like peeking up over the side of the truck, trying to see what was in there. You pull up, you see legs sticking up, or you see horns sticking up out of the back. It was the greatest feeling, man. To me, those check stations was a great way for young kids to get really excited about it. Yeah. Because like I would tell my dad, like, come, let's go, like, let's ride over there. Let's go see what everybody got this morning before we go back out. And then you see like this big old buck in the back. You're thinking like, oh man, maybe this afternoon one like that'll walk by us.
Get you excited.
Yeah.
It's show and tell. It's show and tell for hunters, right?
Yeah. I actually, Shane, this morning I was just going back and listening to the podcast that we did back this summer, just freshen up. And I actually, weird coincidence, I'm not making this up. When we talked about that, I drove by where the check station was.
Oh, really?
Did. And did Pennsylvania have those things? Is that a thing in Pennsylvania ever, Ron?
So, yeah, I mean, they have check stations for black bears.
Okay.
So like they're tracking the bears and stuff. I don't know, like my lifetime, we've never had to check our deer, like physically check our deer. Right? But whenever I started hunting, back when I was about 12, we hunted a lease up in Potter County, which that county borders state line in New York.
Okay.
It's way up north. They call it God's country. You drive into Potter County and there's a big sign that says God's country. I mean, and it's unpopulated, beautiful, great deer hunting. I didn't know how good the deer hunting was as a 12-year-old boy. It's like one of those things you don't appreciate when you're young, but now looking back, I'm like, man, I'd love to go back and because I can sit still longer. I probably have completely different success, but it's like a 4-hour drive from where we are. And one of the things that I remember as a young guy, I hated the 4-hour drive. That's one thing, but 4 hours on the highway, from hunting location to home, you saw a lot of guys with, if they had that big deer, it was propped up in the back of the truck, going down the highways. And if you had a nice buck, you wanted to show it off,
Right.
If you just had, shot your doe or whatever season it was, maybe they were just tossed in the bed of the truck, but you always, going down the highway, you'd see that one guy that has the antlers propped up so the passerbys can get it and stuff. And it's kind of like the concept of what you guys are talking about, show and tell, only for adults.
Even like for me as a kid, it was cool. I've talked about this a bunch, but it was like people tailgated almost. They're drinking their coffee or they're having their breakfast there at these places. The place that we went, one of the places was also a taxidermy shop. So you could there and get stuff done. It was just a cool hangout. But even now, so many people, and there's nothing wrong with this. My family does it, but now so many people butcher their own deer. It was almost the same thing. Like we had a local guy that had a butcher shop, and that was cool too. Going to his house and he's taking it off for you and hanging it up, and you're seeing all the other bucks there, and you can see your tag then when you go get it or getting your stuff. And that's really cool that people are self-sufficient enough to do that. But there's this networking interconnectedness, I think, that's missing with some of this stuff.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. So it's funny you said that, because same situation, local guy that we were friends with, but he had a little butcher shop set up in like a pole barn outside of his house. And that was also half the fun, is like you go there and he opens up the meat locker and can I go in there? He's like, yeah, go ahead, go in there. And you're just looking at all these bucks and does hanging in there. It was awesome.
It was cool. We had a little local one around my house now. I'll take one a year if I'm lucky to get one, or if my dad gets one for us. I'll take one a year to have professionally done, because we do go through it so fast that we'll do our own and vacuum seal them. But then I have one for longevity. But my son killed a small buck last year, real pretty buck, and we took it there, and they just made him feel like a king there. They helped him pull it off. Can we take a picture and put it on our Facebook? Like taking all these pictures. They're putting pictures up in the place. So that was really cool to me.
Yeah, that's awesome
that they did that, because it's just missing a lot of that stuff. And again, as you said, as a kid, that was really cool to make you feel part of the tribe and part of the group. If you killed a buck, or even just shaking
a little blood on your face, a little bit of blood on your hands, make them feel like it's part of like, becoming a man. You're included into those conversations and those type of celebrations.
And Ron, you were similar age, but like when I was a kid too, like nobody wore like obviously the Sitka stuff or whatever the nice stuff is now. It was Sunny Surplus, old BDUs and camo and Woolrich still, and maybe some of the tree bark bottomland stuff. But they're out there ripping Marlboro Red darts and black coffee and breakfast sandwiches and stuff. But it just was such a cool, not trying to be funny or sexy. These are men.
Right. It's nostalgic though, talking about it. I mean, because we all got the picture, the imagery in our minds. Yeah. We experienced that.
This is men. So that's really cool. But
the whole scent control thing it's a funny topic, because I can remember many hunts sitting in the stand with my grandfather, and he was just ripping cigarettes the whole time. And we would see deer. I mean, I've killed deer with him while he's smoking cigarettes. It's just funny, man.
I used to smoke 2 packs a day. Like I was a heavy smoker. Well, maybe not that much, but I mean, pack and a half a day, because I worked outside and I just smoked. Just the industry that I worked in, I could smoke nonstop. And I was younger and not smart, but I don't smoke at all anymore. Glad I gave it up. But I mean, I hunted and I was ripping darts and I was killing deer, and it was no big deal, but I wasn't killing big deer.
Right.
And that's, there's a difference. So like the scent control topic in our family, like my brother, he's diehard. We call him the scent warden. Like he doesn't want us making like beef stew in the cabin, because it's going to permeate. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, we're like, man, that's a little overkill. Like I can still kill a nice buck or whatever, and we go back and forth on that. Give him each, you give each other a hard time. Right. But I do what I can to control my scent. And there's a lot of different approaches to it and stuff. And, so Shane, tell me your thoughts on this, because certainly there are guys in our group and on our hunting camp that are, they're spraying down and they are using like scent lock gear they're wearing and things like that. I personally just invested in an ozonics. So I haven't seen that. Haven't used it enough, but I know guys that have used it and seen results, with from the molecular ionosphere, just like neutralizing the odor.
Right.
I'd like to see if that works for me or not. And then we were just at the Sportsman show in Harrisburg, and I was talking to a guy about the Hex. Are you familiar with the Hex technology?
Yes, I am.
I know a guy that uses that stuff and swears by it too. So like, where do you land on all of that, hunting big bucks?
I participate in a little bit of all of it. I personally think that obviously you want to hunt the wind. The wind is the biggest factor. And so as long as you're hunting the right wind for where the deer are going to come from and so on and so forth, I don't think you have to be completely scent free. Obviously you don't want to go out there stanking,
Right.
but that's going to be your biggest friend. But I've heard good things about the Hex. I haven't worn it personally, but I have heard really good things about it. And I've heard really good things about the Ozonics. What I typically do is I wash my stuff at the beginning of the season in a scent-free detergent. Whether or not that works, not sure. But what seems to help me the best is after every hunt, I'll throw all my stuff right back into a bag, and then when I get home, I hang it outside, and it stays outside until I go the next time. And I have run little like ozone generators in the car,
Right.
and
Yep.
I think that does work pretty well too. And again, it's everybody's preference on because here's the thing: somebody sprays down or wears scent lock, right, and they go out and they kill a big buck. Well, it's because I had the scent lock on.
That's exactly right. Whatever you have success with.
Right. It's like you're a creature of habit. It's like whatever works for you. So it's
Kill big bucks, smoking Marlboros.
Exactly. And the old timers swear by killing big bucks wearing jeans and red flannels.
Right.
It's like it's whatever works for you, man. And like I said, I've tried a little bit of it all, and I've had success, and I've had deer spooked. It just depends.
Anything to give yourself an advantage. I think if you're a deer hunter, you wanna give yourself a leg up, because it's
right.
I said this before. It's not necessarily you versus the deer. It's you versus yourself.
Right.
Because deer they're patterned creatures of habit. But we can outsmart ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
Doing this as well.
I used to hunt a lot purely based off of gut feeling, and I had a lot of success just doing that. And the last couple of years, I kind of get in my own head. Like I'll have a gut feeling like, man, I think I should be at this stand today. And I'm like, no, the wind's blowing out of the west, and I think he's bedded over here. I need to go over here. Well, then right at dark, I'm getting pictures of him over there where my gut feeling said I should have went. So it's like a lot of times, like once you have so much knowledge, you kind of get inside your own head a lot of times. And it's almost it's good to have knowledge, but it's almost kind of better to be, open-minded, a little less, I don't want to say stressed out about it, because it's not really the right word, but just a little bit more easygoing about it. Like if you got that gut feeling, just go over there, go sit there. Like if you don't see them, okay, you just burn to sit in the woods. I mean, it's still pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So you're not, my nephew's not on, like he co-hosts a show with us sometimes, and Chris knows Brady, but Brady on our property, we've been hunting for years, and we've got him patterned. Like we know travel corridors and things like that certain times of the year, and when he was younger, he's not as bad now, but he's still high energy compared to me. But, he'll take his tree stand and he'll set it up on a bench. And if he doesn't see anything in the morning, he's like, man, I got to move it down just, to the next bench level, and he's constantly like shifting. And that's where sometimes that works.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's like, man, I moved in the morning, and in the afternoon they're where I was in the morning, and you outsmart yourself, so it's interesting when deer hunting, because
all that stuff is just, you can do the right thing the most perfect ways and everything by the book. And I said this before, whether it's ducks or turkeys, whatever, they're going to go there because they want to go there anyway. So if you're not even in the right area, it doesn't matter what you got on.
Right.
And then it's funny to talk about this too, because one of the things I'm getting ready to start with 3B, I'm going to start this own little offshoot brand I've been talking about Ron with, called Unconventional Hunting. And that's my brother. Like he smokes, and he's got wall hangers. He cannot sit still. We joke that by 7:45, he's going to be like, all right, I'm getting down to walk the woods. I'm going to push deer out to you guys,
Right.
He'll probably kill 6 or 7 deer a year. Now he'll kill some big ones, but he's killing deer for meat too. But same as ducks. We go down the Eastern Shore, we're down in Assateague, and he's like, I can't sit in the blind. He'll get up and walk, and he'll jump shoot a gadwall stud Drake gadwall.
Right.
That people want to get as a trophy, and we did our pheasant hunt I told you about, and we did one this year, and we always cook out and tailgate. And I'm sorry if I told this story before, but like he had already got his bird, so he's walking back to where the trucks are. It's about 600 or 700 yard walk, and nowhere near where we had these birds. And he's walking back to fire the grills up, and we hear boom. He's holding up a rooster that just walked out in front of him, you know. So if we knew how to figure it out, it wouldn't be hunting, right?
Right.
It's right place, right time.
It is
100% of the time.
Yeah,
right.
We're gonna start, him and I have a thing called unconventional hunting. I actually have it tattooed on my leg, all traditional and old school. I don't know if you can see. It's actually a wooden sign I have up next to that deer rack, you know. But every year he'll kill a deer, or I'll kill a deer, or we'll catch a fish. Doing everything you're not supposed to do.
Right.
I'm actually getting ready to start some cool stuff with that here. So if you have any funny pictures or videos, send them to me, dude. I'm going to start some cool stuff with that. But
yeah, it sounds awesome.
You know,
it is funny, man. It's just it's luck. I mean, a lot of it is luck, you know, and anybody that tries to tell you it's not luck, they're lying, because like you said, you could do a million things right and it still would never be perfect. Yeah. You know, it's hunting and fishing for a reason. I mean, fishing is the prime example. I fish a big flounder tournament every year down at the beach, and we're in the same spot as 100 other boats, all 20 feet away from each other. And we're not catching any fish, fishing the same structure that these guys are fishing. And we're watching them pull up fish after fish. You know, it's like, it's all luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you're talking about, you know, your kids, and, you know, as they get older, you'll see how different they are. You know, my oldest son that I talk about a lot, he's OCD and he's got to be dressed right. And his, you know, when he fishes, his line is perfect and he's got all his sorted out. And then my second son is not that way. And he's making noise and hanging in the water, just having a blast. And he's ripping lips right. My oldest son is like, "What the heck?" Like, you know, doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And it's just right place, right time, like you guys said.
That's why we say hunt your hunt. You know, it's different for everybody. And the most important thing is that you're having fun, you're enjoying it. You know, you're making memories, because the memories, that's what you're going to take with you. You know, that's what's going to last. You know, so Shane, you know, as we get ready to wrap here, you know, talk to me a little bit about your podcast and your passions. Like, you know, what got you into that? I know you said you got into, you know, filming hunts a little bit, and then, you know, got away from that. Now you're podcasting and stuff, and certainly want our audience to check you out at the Upper Bay Podcast and give you a listen and a follow. But just tell me a little bit about those passion projects that you got on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I started filming, and I kind of worked in the outdoor industry a little bit. And I thought that that's what I really wanted to do for a long time. And then once I got there, I kind of realized that it maybe not so much was for me. And years down the road, like I said, back in I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, I started Upper Bay Outdoors, which was a clothing brand. And my whole thing was, I just wanted to kind of spread the word of how great the outdoors was in our local area. And the only way to do that was to throw a logo on a shirt and say, you know, like, if you're into duck hunting, look, I got this one shirt, or I got this hoodie that's got this sweet duck logo on it. Or if you're into deer hunting, I got one that's got a sweet deer skull on it. And like, my message to everybody every time I posted, my little slogan was family, friends, outdoors, because I just wanted people to understand, like, we live in this great area and you should be out there with your family and your friends and just enjoying it and soaking it all up while it's still here. And then that transitioned into 2023. I mean, just like you guys, like, I sit down with my buddies all the time. We call each other constantly, just talking, hunting or fishing. And podcasts are obviously really popular nowadays. And me and my buddy Mason, we were talking, like, let's just try it. Like, let's just record stuff. If people listen, great. If not, who cares? You know, it's just
having fun.
Yeah, we're just having these conversations anyways. We might as well record them. And it kind of took off right off the jump. We had a little spike there, which was nice. And people were kind of enjoying what we were putting out, because we were specifically highlighting a lot of local hunters in our area, and very specific to our area. And then we started bringing on some other people, and there was nothing wrong with those guests, but we started getting into the niche of, this guy was telling us all, like, this is the proper way to do this, and this is the proper way to do that. And that's why I'm talking about the drama, because then that evolved into a lot of Facebook stuff of, you know, we don't believe this, and that guy's not right and stuff. So Mason and I decided to step back and just kind of like, look, let's just, if we're going to continue this, let's just continue it as like, let's just tell stories and talk about our passions and talk about, how many sheds you went and picked up last Saturday and stuff like that. And it's kind of just me. I'm a little ADHD too, and I got to get it all out, man. I gotta spew it. I mean, I'm probably talking fast right now, but like, I just got so much in me, man. I just want to get it out. I want people to listen. Like, I don't care if you like it or not. I just want to talk to you about it. Like everywhere I go, no matter if it's a barbecue or a school event or whatever, I'm like, hey man, do you hunt? Do you fish? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
I relate.
So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to do that. Unfortunately, we haven't put out any episodes in a long time just because my wife was pregnant. We were trying to sell our house, and then we just had our son, and I'm living with my in-laws, which we're in a transition period, so life gets crazy, and we had to
real life matters though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it. Real life matters, and I think like us, we started by just we were documenting our hunting journey, and that went from writing it down to taking pictures into an album to modern day. You got a cell phone, you're posting on Instagram and Facebook and that sort of stuff, to let's do a podcast and tell stories. And that evolved into, well, there are other guys that do this too, so we connect up with Chris and 3B Outdoors and guys like yourself and your podcast, and we're just trying to connect with as many people regionally. Intentionally, we're looking for guys in the region,
right?
So that look, I want my audience to know that Shane Muller's got this Upper Bay podcast, and he's going to share his insights, as well as Chris is with 3B Outdoors, and they're all about tradition of the hunt and telling old stories, and just grow the audience that way, because we have this shared. I like what you said. We live in this resource. It's a rich resource area, in this Mid-Atlantic area. We're not really, we're kind of Northeast, we're kind of Mid-Atlantic, but we're not either really,
right.
So,
and I don't know, like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But like, I don't know about where you guys live, but here, man, it seems like every week another farm's getting sold off to be a development. And that was like my one thing that I wanted to push. I'm like, look, you guys, you got to get out there and you got to enjoy what we have while we still have it, because Cecil County is going to be built up. But in my lifetime, there's not going to be hardly any farms left, and there's just no way around that. And so, like, I tell everybody, I'm like, get out there, go, like, even if you're not in hunting, go walk. We have some awesome state parks around here. Like, just go enjoy it for what it is.
My wife's she didn't grow up hunting, fishing, outdoor family, anything like that, but she loves to go on hikes, so we got dogs, and we'll go hike. We'll just go up in the mountain just so the dogs can, like, get the stink blown off of them and run. And we want to be outdoors.
Right. Yeah. And my oldest, he's only 3.5. He turns 4 in July. And I took him deer hunting and I took him goose hunting this year. And my wife's like, don't you think he's a little young? I'm like, yeah, maybe. But in 20 years, who knows what's going to be around for him to be able to do this? Like, why not? Let's do it now while he has the chance.
Yeah. So true.
I know I'm not trying to sound like the old dude now with my kids, but my son's turning 15 on Sunday. And I started taking him out with them, dude, and it is going by so fast.
Yeah.
Everybody says that, and you just don't realize it. But I got pictures of him climbing up into old box stands and just coming out with us. And even he still tells me, hey, I remember going to Wawa with you early in the morning and getting a chocolate, so plant that early, dude. And it's the
little insignificant things to us, that they're going to remember, so love it. Love it, guys. Well, appreciate you coming on, Shane. Where can everybody find you?
I run a couple Instagrams. My main one is just Shane_Muller. The Upper Bay podcast is, I believe it's Upper Bay _outdoors or _podcast. I double check on that real quick. Other than that, you can find us on Facebook, Upper Bay Podcast on Facebook, and just Shane Muller on Facebook if you want to connect with just me personally. So the podcast Instagram is Upper Bay _podcast. We don't post on there like we used to, but we're planning. Mason and I are planning on revamping all that and getting that going again. So
speaking of him, real quick, he killed a monster buck.
Oh yeah, dude. He's a public land fiend, man. He found that buck and he hunted that buck hard. He hunted every day as soon as the season opened for that buck, and he finally got a chance with him. But it was a giant. It scored like mid 140s. It was a beautiful deer.
Yeah, Ron, when I say a big I mean unbelievable.
Yeah.
With a bow, right? He shot an archery.
Yep. Yeah. It was early October, like first or second week of October, he got that deer.
Even better.
Yeah. And he's a shed hunting fool. He's been out every day since December. He's already picked up like almost 30 sheds. He's rolling, man.
I just got a picture, our one buddy sent me, probably might have been this weekend. It was last weekend, but I mean, recently. And, where his cameras are up and they're still holding. So
yeah, we got a bunch still holding too. But he's like, he's just a fiend for it, man. Like as soon as January 1st hits, he's like, I'm going. I can't wait. I'm going.
It's a good reason. We didn't even get into this, and maybe we'll have you come back and we'll do, another show where we can talk more about it. But it's like this time of year, what are you doing to fill your time?
Right.
Seasons are winding down and stuff. And so shed hunting is certainly a cool hobby.
Yeah.
And, you got to have a knack for it. But it's awesome if you can go out and you can find some hardware.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man. So Hunt and Family, you guys are listening to Tracks and Tackle. I want you to go and give Upper Bay Podcast a follow. You can find them at Upper Bay _podcast, and give them your comments. If you're listening to this, drop a comment. Tell Chris about how to hunt fish, what bait to use, etc. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. Appreciate every one of you out there that are support the show. And as always, we just want you to get outdoors. Remember, nature is our playground, and always remember to stay wild.
See you guys.
See you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.